Hello, my dear friends. Ready for a dark adventure full of suspense? Let's dive in. Right at the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to the reality that, throughout the 23rd century, poverty significantly worsened in many parts of the globe. This forced many individuals to take on dangerous jobs, particularly planetary mining. To make it possible to transport these workers to such hazardous environments, an innovative teleportation technology known as slipstreaming was developed. This technology operates through a device called Apex, which is implanted into the miners' bodies, connecting directly to their nervous system, enabling instant transportation to predetermined locations. Then, the story shifts to a group of visibly tense soldiers, with a particular focus on a woman showing clear signs of anxiety. She is approached by her commander, David, and a medical team, who ask her questions. Visibly confused, she is unable to give clear answers, which only heightens the concern among the group. In the next scene, we meet Whit, who is starting his first day on the job. He and other soldiers are on their way to space headquarters, where they will be sent on a rescue operation to a remote planet. Before leaving, Whit shares a moment with his wife, Lisa, who is pregnant. She expresses her hope that he returns soon, and Whit assures her that he'll be back before nightfall. When he arrives at the base called West Coast, he sees all the soldiers organizing for the upcoming mission. The captain gathers the team and announces that their destination is a planet called Infini. However, as soon as the team sets foot on Infini, something bizarre happens. The soldiers start exhibiting strange behaviors, as if they've been affected by some dangerous contamination. Meanwhile, back at the headquarters, a serious incident triggers an automatic lockdown, trapping the captain and other soldiers inside. In an attempt to resolve the situation, one of the soldiers decides to use the Apex devices of Dane, Whit, and himself to connect with Infini, successfully teleporting the trio. However, a malfunction occurs when he tries to connect the captain's device, leaving him stuck at the base, while Dane and Whit are sent to the planet. Soon after, David makes an urgent call to his soldiers. He explains that they have been assigned to a rescue mission on the planet Infini after a major accident killed thousands of miners. To investigate the causes of the disaster, a scientist named Montoli was sent along with the team. However, something inexplicable happened, resulting in the deaths of all the team members. When they tried to recover Montoli using the Apex system, he abruptly removed his own device, suggesting a possible refusal to return. David continued to detail the critical situation. Montoli, now with his sanity compromised, had taken control of one of the spacecraft at the Infini station. If that ship managed to land on Earth, it would result in a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions. A previous team, dispatched from the West Coast base, had already attempted to intercept the ship and rescue Montoli, but the mission ended in tragedy, with the loss of all members. However, there was still a possibility that Whit, one of the soldiers, was alive. David then instructed those present that their new mission would be twofold: rescue Whit and ensure that the ship did not reach Earth. He also warned them about the peculiar time distortion at Infini, where 1 minute and 14 seconds on Earth corresponded to 14 hours locally. The team had a limit of 24 hours, according to Infini time, to complete the operation before the ship reached its fatal destination. After the briefing, David activated the teleportation mechanism, sending the team to Infini. There, the captain immediately confronted Whit about the fate of the previous team. Visibly shaken, Whit reported that an unknown pathogen had infected his companions, driving them into a homicidal frenzy. With no other option, he isolated himself in a compartment and triggered an explosion that destroyed part of the base and wiped out the team. When the captain questioned him about scattered human remains, Whit claimed he had no knowledge of the origin of those remains. The captain then assured Whit that the mission was to rescue him, but the immediate priority was to prevent the remotely controlled ship from launching. Agreeing to cooperate, Whit led the team to the control room, where he guided Harris, George, and Claire, a couple, in shutting down the ship systems. Meanwhile, a soldier named Rex, suspicious, demanded that Whit show his eyes, looking for signs of infection. Whit, irritated but understanding, complied with Rex's demand, asking him what would make him believe he wasn't infected just by looking into his eyes. After inspecting, Rex decided to trust Whit. With Rex's cooperation, along with Harris and the others, they managed to thwart the ship's launch attempt. The tension gave way to brief relief, which was abruptly shattered when an infected individual appeared and attacked the captain with an axe, brutally and shockingly ending his life. In the ensuing chaos, another infected attacker tried to assault the soldiers, who fought back, but the assailants' contaminated blood splattered onto them, infecting them as well and drastically altering their behavior. Amid the turmoil, Wit panicked and tried to flee, but in his frantic state, he stumbled and fell. Quickly, another soldier caught up with him, demanding explanations and accusing him of betrayal. The soldier aggressively confronted Wit. "You said everyone was dead. So how did this infected person appear?" Suspecting Wit had lied, the soldier threatened to stop him from escaping. As Wit resumed running, the soldier chased him until they encountered an infected soldier. A confrontation between the accuser and the infected was inevitable, and both ended up perishing in the fight. Wit, still on the run, reaches a laboratory where he frantically searches for some kind of medicine. His search proves fruitless, increasing his desperation and contributing to increasingly erratic behavior, making him appear infected. It is in this setting that Wit comes across research documents revealing alarming information about an alien species called the OG. These beings, with a consistency similar to glass, melt at temperatures above 10 degrees Celsius and, once inside a human host, take full control, learning everything about them and radically transforming their cells. Wit discovers that millions of these organisms exist. At this critical moment, Harris bursts into the laboratory, pointing a gun at Wit, accusing him of lying and imprisoning the team on the planet. Harris wants to understand how Wit has remained uninfected. Wit sincerely explains that he kept his distance from the infected, which preserved his health. He shares his discoveries about the OG, leaving Harris perplexed. Suddenly, Rex, now under the influence of the infection, bursts into the room and attacks Harris. About to shoot Harris, Wit intervenes, pleading with Rex to remember who he is and the friendship he shares with Harris. Momentarily lucid, Rex makes a heroic and tragic decision, shooting himself, choosing death to prevent the spread of the infection. As Wit tries to leave the laboratory, Harris, consumed by anger and distrust, shouts, accusing Wit of being infected and blaming him for the death of his team. "I won't let you escape," Harris threatens, raising his gun. Before Harris can shoot, Wit, in an act of self-preservation, shoots first, killing Harris. Continuing his escape, Wit finds Rex, clearly under the effect of the infection, speaking into a microphone in a delirium. "I'm going to save you." As Wit approaches, Rex recognizes something in him and says, "I won't kill you because I now understand. You are like me. But I feel envy. Why hasn't the organism inside you fully manifested yet?" Rex's revelation confirms that Wit is indeed carrying the infection, although in a less advanced stage. Rex then reveals that he initiated the extraction procedure, which could bring a chance of returning to Earth. Hearing this, a glimmer of hope arises in Wit, who immediately asks, "Who is the team's doctor?" Rex informs him that Claire is the doctor, but unfortunately she has already been infected. He also mentions that only a few of them remain: himself, Wit, Claire, and George. Meanwhile, George finds Claire in a dire state, covered in blood. Alarmed, he asks what happened, and she, with deep regret, confesses, "I killed my son." The revelation leaves George enraged, triggering a violent argument between the two. Shortly after, Wit finds Claire, but she is on the verge of death. He interrogates her about the alien life form, desperately seeking some way to contain it. Claire, already weak and defeated, can only murmur, "It's too late. We're all going to die." Shortly after these words, she succumbs to her wounds and dies. Immediately after, Rex confronts Wit once again, this time with a weapon in hand. He admits to lying about the extraction procedure and reveals that his true intention is to kill Wit. "You showed your eyes in anger and I can't let that go," Rex states. They engage in a physical fight, and Wit, desperate, tries to dodge, diving into the chaos around them. However, the infection begins to weaken Wit, sapping his strength. Rex finds him once more, and they have one final clash. In this decisive fight, Wit manages to grab a pipe and wraps it around Rex's neck. With a Herculean effort, he strangles Rex to death. After the confrontation, Wit decides to record one last audio message, addressing the alien life form directly. He declares, "I know you can hear and understand me. I want you to know that I will never allow your plan to succeed. You took so many lives as you infiltrated among us, trying to understand humans. But all you learned was how to cause violence and destruction. If you had focused on the positive qualities humans have to offer, you could have brought new hope to the broken or lost. However, all you did was spread death. That is all you learned, and I won't allow it to continue." Wit finishes the recording, sets the message to play on a loop, and sits at the table. Determined to prevent the alien entity from gaining full control, he cuts his own wrist, choosing to die on his own terms. As blood flows from his body, Wit slowly dies. After some time, something unusual happens. the life form begins to leave the bodies of the dead soldiers, retreating completely from them. As Whit's blood spilled, a miraculous event took place. It began to flow back into his body, reviving him in an inexplicable way. Whit, confused and frightened, looked around and saw that the other soldiers were also coming back to life. Shock and disbelief overtook them all, unable to understand what had happened. Quickly, the captain, who had also been revived, called everyone together. He stressed the importance of returning to headquarters, but with one crucial condition. They had to keep secret the fact that they had been infected. If anyone finds out, they might decide to eliminate us. Furthermore, it's vital to ensure that no one else comes here. Our mission here is over, he said seriously. Aware of the risks, everyone agreed and began preparing to use the Apex systems to teleport back to Earth. Just before departure, Whit spotted the alien entity again, this time in a humanoid form. To his surprise and horror, the creature was holding a photo of Lisa, Whit's wife, leaving him paralyzed. However, before he could react or understand the meaning of this, the group was teleported. Back on Earth, Whit and the other soldiers were greeted by David and a medical team, just like at the beginning of the movie. They were quickly subjected to an interrogation and prepared for a series of medical exams. The tension was palpable between them, aware that if the tests revealed an infection, the consequences would be disastrous. Whit, taking the initiative, took a deep breath and submitted to the scan. To everyone's relief, the results were negative for any signs of infection. One by one, all the soldiers underwent the tests, and they too were cleared with no indication of the dreadful infection. A collective sigh of relief spread through the group, grateful to have escaped the alien threat. Finally, Whit and Lisa reunited. Despite the tumultuous and distressing hours Whit had experienced in Infini, only a few hours had passed on Earth. Lisa, unaware of everything that had happened, greeted Whit with a radiant smile. Their reunion was marked by a deep mixture of relief and happiness. The film concludes with this emotional scene as Whit returns home after a journey beyond imagination, alive and safe by his wife's side. If you like this film, then I recommend watching this one here as well. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. See you there.